How to capture the attention of a starving market and make a profit. This is everything you need to know about lead generation. Now, I kind of like that title because it speaks to like what the problem is that we're going to talk about. Here's the story. The last century, the last 100 years, people made money by optimizing production and productivity. So you saw in the last sort of 20, 30 years, McDonald's absolutely smash it by making burgers cheaper and faster than everyone else. You saw iPhone absolutely smash it by actually figuring out how to put all those clever electronics together and then be really great. And like 70, 80 years before that, you saw Henry Ford smash it because he could make a motor car and optimize that. But then Toyota came along and they could do it even quicker. So the first 100 years, last 100 years, were all about optimizing production of the actual product, monetization engine, as I think of it. The next 100 years, and what we're seeing now, is the optimization of customer development. So that's the customer journey from finding out about you and capturing their attention all the way to monetization. And that's where everyone's making money now, in media, in sales and advertising, because all you can do is increase your margin a little bit if you optimize productivity. Everyone can do it now. Look, Samsung have caught up with iPhone. And McDonald's are getting marginalized by Deliveroo and technology and everything else. The caption is that the nice succinct one, the last 100 years, money was made by optimizing production. The next 100 years, money's going to be made by optimizing attention. I think that's what we're talking about when we talk about leads.
Okay, so essentially, we're talking about how to get people's attention so they can come and buy your stuff, right? And to your point, you can make a lot of money from selling things that aren't amazing Ford cars or, like McDonald's or anything like that, right? So actually, you could put an okay product out to the market, or an okay service. Not that anyone ever does that intentionally, but ultimately, it's with generating leads, it's getting that attention on that product or service that you can smash it, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like we can talk about ethical and non-ethical ways to do it. And I know we've got loads of notes to go through, but like I'll give you an example of someone capturing my attention and then selling me a Duff product. I was browsing on Amazon, need new bike lock because new healthy routine, going to start cycling into my office.
Oh, fancy you. How long is the cycle?
Not long enough to make me feel good about it. Okay. Long enough that I shouldn't be driving it.
No judgment, yeah.
So I started searching. I needed a bike lock. I'm scrolling through Amazon, and Amazon goes, Amazon's choice, this bike lock here, similar sort of price to all the others. And I go, I'm not even going to think about it because Amazon's got my attention. They've got me in the routine. I know, trust them. Just going to buy that one. Not even going to think about it. Amazon's choice, one-click purchase. Turns up, and I'm expecting, big man D-lock that, can go around my bike. And it comes and I could fit it inside my wallet. It's tiny. It's not even a proper D-lock. So I guess what I'm saying there is capturing attention is the number one thing you need to focus on. And then, you need to deliver a product. Like they did sell me a lock. I should have read the description, Now that we could say whether that was a good or a bad experience overall, but they won. They got the sale. Someone else didn't,
Yeah. So if we were just explaining this at a kind of a basic level to kind of anyone listening or watching, right, is, and maybe even more of a traditional level, is generating leads, generating attention for your business is a really important part of making money. Without attention, without people knowing what your product is, you're going to wither on the vine and kind of die, essentially, right? But you do need a product or a service first, right? You do need to know that you've got something that people might consider buying. Like there's a need for a bike lock, right? So all Amazon are doing there is just making sure that they get seen compared to other bike lock makers, right? But, if I was selling, I don't know, cat sofas or something like that, or something, what do you think? So she just decided to involve herself in the recording here. You'd need to make sure that this is something that people want, because all that effort of generating attention is just going to fall on deaf ears, right?
Yeah, definitely. So, let's give our. I mean, this is your field. You know this stuff inside out. But let's for the audience, let's define what a lead is. It's the process of attracting a customer to increase the interest in your company, whatever your company does. Like that's probably broad thing. And there's different types of leads. And I'm going to be really pedantic and say, I don't think you do need a product, but and I don't think that's what you're saying. I think you were saying you need to validate demand. Like, because that's what we spoke about before. Because it's technically illegal to try and sell a product that you don't have. But when you read any entrepreneurial book, they're like, well, go validate demand before you spend all the money on developing a product. And what the common like advice is throw up a landing page and either drive some ads at it or throw it out on Facebook. And a landing page, for clarity, it just identifies the problem, gets people excited about what solving the problem might look like, and then says, here's the solution. And it will either have an email sign up or a buy button. And that's how people quite often will validate demand. They'll put that in front of where they think people are that want the product, whether that's through paid ads, so they'll do it on Google Ads. You know, if people are searching for bike locks, for instance, I might get a CGI image of a bike lock. Do you wish your bike was more secure whilst you're at work? Well, we've got the perfect solution for you. Works in the rain, works inside. Click here to purchase this lock. And like if enough people click that ads, I go, okay, the people want bike locks for work. So you then validate it. But you don't need the product to do that, I guess, is what the point you were making.
For sure. I mean, in the old days, you'd get people into a room with two-way mirrors and you'd ask them questions about how they felt about a product or an idea before you actually built the thing, created the thing, put the thing together, whatever the thing might be that you're selling. And then you'd ask people questions and study them. That's what the kind of old Mad Men agency world used to do, right? You get housewives in and get them all to look at different soap detergents, right? Washing detergents, and kind of get them to feedback that way. And I guess like that's evolved to today where we can get that kind of information online. You can create a survey, you can ask people what they think. Yeah, you can like throw up a landing page and ask people to react like it is going to be available soon and see if there's demand there as well. I think having demand for a product, though, isn't always needed. You can just launch with something if you've got a vibe that it might take off. I mean, this is how dropshipping has become so popular, right? Because if you had your finger on the pulse and you could see a product that was kind of coming out of AliExpress or overseas and you think people would really like that, or you've got enough money to just test and see out of 100 products if people would like it, you can just start selling them straight away. And one or two is going to make it through. Maybe TikTok made me buy it and take off. And, you know, like TikTok leggings. Do you know what happened with that? Like it was...
I'm probably not their target market. Didn't come across TikTok leggings.
If that might have hit your world at all. TikTok leggings were like a brand of leggings that make your bum look a certain way when you wear them. You know, they like contoured and shaped and everything like that. And it just took one person to wear them, show them to the camera, put a hashtag in saying TikTok made me buy it. And then other people saw that and it went viral and wanted to buy the leggings and see if the leggings made their bum look a certain way as well. And the chain reaction began. You know, so if you've got the finger on the pulse and you can guess that some people might like a particular product, like the Galaxy lights, you know, they kind of took off over the past couple of years. They're like those lights that you can project onto a ceiling that look like a galaxy, right?
I think I know the ones you mean. Why did they take off? What made them go viral?
It was the video of people using one and then others seeing it and thinking, I want that, I want that, I want that. It just took a savvy drop shipper to look at that product and think, yeah, that might work. So you can take that risk if you want to, but I think there needs to be a balance in between taking the risk and validating, you know, that you've got something that people genuinely want.
What we're talking about here is different techniques you can use for this framework, which we should probably outline. Like we should probably explain to people the terminology and then because I think essentially what we're saying is like, look, there's this best practice. And if you're in a big company, they would have a rigid process which says you must first validate demand and you must get 10 people and this score and blah, 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 blah to prove that someone wants it. And then you can do some ad spend and then you can like do some alpha prototype and put it in front of people. And because ultimately they're trying to manage risk. But if you're a scrappy entrepreneur and you can find a way of, you know, taking on a bit more risk cheaply, then you might go down. But let's give people this framework because this, and can I do this as like interview style because this is your world and
sure.
Yeah. Okay. So some terminology that I've seen. Funnel. What is a funnel?
So in this instance, a funnel is a sales process essentially, and the reason why it's called a funnel is because it's bigger at the top. and thinner at the bottom. So the idea is that you get as many leads, as many people interested, or the attention of as many people in the top of the funnel as possible. And then as you take them through the sales process, whatever that might be, you're going to lose some people, right? And so by the time you get to the bottom of the funnel, you've got people who are still in there, still interested in hearing about your product. So you'll quite often hear the phrase top of funnel. These are people you've just got the interest of. Like quite often they're quite cold leads, people who've never heard of you before. They need warming up, right?
So as a customer, where am I at top of funnel? Like, am I, and what are my activities? What am I seeing as the customer at the top of funnel?
Well, if you're a customer, you've already bought from me, you're not top of funnel.
Oh, okay. So
you're already in the sales process. So you're kind of mid funnel. You've already heard about me. You've bought from me before. So if I've got something to sell to you, again, in this instant, I would run you through part of that funnel again. So at the top of the funnel, you'd be someone you've never heard of before. You're someone who's just discovered TikTok leggings, right? You've never heard of that before. So you're going to be at the top of the funnel here, totally cold. And you're going to need taking through that sales process with a multiple number of touch points in order to make you aware of the product, get you to trust the product and the company selling that product or service, and move you closer and closer to the place where you can buy, however that might be.
Let me throw some more terms at you then, and maybe it'd be awesome if we had a graphic here. Let's play like stick. If we had this funnel as a picture, it'd be great to understand where these terms live on there. So, yeah, you hold the hands up.
I can do my hands.
We've got traffic, we've got content, prospect, lead, customer, lead scoring, lead qualification, inbound, outbound, earned media, PPC.
So a funnel prospect, this is just someone that you're planning to get in front of to get into your funnel, essentially. So that's all that is. A prospect is a sales term. It's someone that hasn't bought from you yet and you want them to buy from you.
So what's the attributes of a prospect?
A prospect is someone you have identified as being right to buy your product or service. Prospecting, from a sales point of view, is just going out and finding the right people out of all the millions and millions of people that you could be talking to and put them in touch with your product or service.
How do you define who those people are? Because I think we kind of touched on this customer discovery bit, the bit that happens before the funnel. In my head, in my manufacturing head, I'm imagining like people building a steel, like a titanium funnel that's like a really clever sieve that sieves people through. But I only want, like, the kids, the square things where they can put circle blocks in and square blocks and triangle blocks. Like, I know that the people that are going to buy are square block. And so I'm going to put a square block filter on the front. But that specification, that came from somewhere. How do you specify those people that you want in top of funnel, like that you want to be a prospect, that you want to put content in front?
Yeah, so you're either in two camps, really. Either you know the identity of the person who's going to buy from you, or you don't. Right. So if you don't, then you need to go out and do that research like we were just talking about and survey people and talk to people who might be interested in your product or service. I mean, we've talked about this a few times before. That is just a necessity to continue talking to the people who buy from you because their wants, needs and desires change all the time, right? So if you don't have persona, then go and get one. I got my persona for my membership business by creating a survey and getting 100 people to fill out that survey, all by posting in groups online, forums, Facebook groups, in various WhatsApp chats of people I thought might be roughly interested in buying my membership.
Can I dig into that?
Sure.
You say a persona, so those 100 questions, like what were the questions? What makes up a persona? Like what are all the attributes? And also what was that post? Because like just, hey everyone, there's a survey here, doesn't really have a pull. So presumably you had like some kind of hook that was like, hey guys, like let me solve all your problems. Fill a survey out and I'll give you something. Like it sounds like a mini lead generation exercise.
Yeah, well it was, and it is. It was a 10-question survey put out to 100 people. And I asked some demographic information. So, your man, woman, age, where do you live? That's about as much detail as I wanted to go into. I asked them what social platforms they used. I asked them whether that they owned a business or not, whether they had a website for their business, because that's the content of the membership, how they felt about their website. Just gave them a score. Do you feel great? 10, or not very great? 0. And then just put a few more questions in like that to just get a temperature on how they feel about things. So it's really important to get that demographic info and then kind of get that less quantitative and more kind of qualitative data. But the thing I did ask, which I think is really important, and people can just steal this, is to ask, if everything was perfect in your business right now, what would that look like?
If you could wave a magic wand.
If you could wave a magic wand, right? And the other question is, what's the one thing giving you the most problems in your business right now to do with your X, whatever that might be, right? So what you get is really good data back that you have to sift through. I used a word cloud to put all the answers in together, and then the word cloud kind of gave me words and phrases that I could kind of get a vibe as to the main problem that everyone had. And the problem that most of those people had, she was a woman, by the way. She lived in the south of England. She was aged 40 and above.
She identified as a woman, just for political correctness.
Yeah, she was age 40 and above. She owned her own business, often a startup type business after a second career. And she was in 2 types of businesses. She was either like a service coach type person, or she was like a artisan, like a jewelry maker. And the one problem that she had was she just didn't know where to start with doing the marketing and the website stuff for her own business, and found everything quite confusing. So I was able to take that and just create a persona on a piece of paper, and I called her Jenny. So she was Jenny, and I put her on my wall, and I had all these things, and then I made stuff up. I was like, well, if Jenny is like 40, she's probably got kids who are like 10, 8 and 10. If she lives in the south of England, let's stick her in Bournemouth because that's quite lovely. Jenny made jewelry after a corporate career, had meant that she couldn't quite take care of her kids anymore. I just made all of this stuff up. I just created Jenny based on the other Jennies I know in the world, right? And once I had that persona on the wall, and I knew that Jenny hangs out on Facebook, in Facebook groups. She loves Instagram. These are the emails that she subscribes to. These are the websites that she goes to. I was able to then know how to start prospecting for people like Jenny and where to go to. And I didn't just go to the market cold.
Okay, so prior to that, it sounds like you were testing an idea you had. Like you were thinking, I've got some marketing, web development skills. I want to build a product in this area. You've been selling your time for money previously, right? Well, I want to create either a service, an agency, or a something in this area. Let's see what people want before I build. Is that about what you were doing there before you did that survey?
Yeah, that's right. And like to answer your other question from before, is the post that I put out to people was I told them what I was doing, right? So I'm going to be creating a course or a membership around how small businesses can build their own website. If you take part in this survey, I will give you a free place for a month to get your feedback. Right. So that was what we would call a lead magnet, right? It's an incentive to become a lead. It's an incentive to sign up and kind of get into the sales funnel.
This is awesome. This is gold, because I'm going through a bit of this process at the moment. In fact, just yesterday I was doing personas, jobs to be done, this kind of thing, like breaking it down. And I think less interview, more statement now. Like in the beginning, you need to have these cycles really, really tight. It needs to be really reactive. So you're doing a lot of ask people a question, test the result, test something new, ask them some more questions about it, test something new, and you want to do that continuously. But ultimately, you do end up where you have your funnel built, people are coming in, and you have an acceptable cost of getting someone from the top of that funnel to the bottom and becoming a sale. And at some point you go, right, I built the money printing machine. I just need to back up the cash. And yeah, it'd be great. Like we're going to have to continually update and improve, and we'll add new products and we'll test new ideas. But the money printing machine works now. Like, is that fair?
I mean, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. You've always got to be optimizing your money printing machine, really. In the instance of the example I just spoke about, I managed to find where those ideal customers lived online and was able to immerse myself in that world. And I really went for it. I really focused very hard on hanging out on Facebook, being in Facebook groups, interacting with all of the influencers that my ideal customer was really into. I was really in there for a good year because I knew where she was. So I was wanting to make sure that this process worked. And I didn't change lanes. I didn't go out to other markets or kind of other channels on a whim. I knew where she was, and I invested time and effort in making sure that I converted her. And, that's a really important part of creating that kind of machine, is to just not get distracted with other shiny things.
Definitely. So we drilled in on like the most important thing, because there is 1,000,001 people out there that will sell you ClickFunnels, will sell you Samcart, will sell you a funnel. And I think it was important that this is the golden nugget. Like, you need to unlock this little secret, secret that people actually want the thing you're going to sell before you do all this. Because now we can talk about the mechanics of it all, I think, and all the tools and techniques and whatever else. But let's change gears. Let's now look at that. I think we should talk about lead scoring, lead qualification. Like, how do you determine? So you throw the net out there and you say to all these people who now go, yeah, I want what you're selling, but you don't necessarily want to serve everyone. So how do you score and qualify a lead? What's the difference between a good lead and a bad lead?
So the more you can define your ideal customer and where they live out there in the world, where their attention is, and get in front of them, the easier that's going to be for you to qualify a lead. Because if you're trying to reach everybody, that's not going to work. And I've worked in my membership with so many people over the years who are like, well, everyone buys my stuff, men, women, old, young, which is great. That's like Tesco's, right? But Tesco's can afford a multi-million-pound advertising budget on TV during Coronation Street, right?
And they're selling to a starving market. Like, literally.
Literally. Yeah. So our small business owner / entrepreneur, isn't in that position. So you are only going to have a finite amount of resources, cash, time, right? So the more you can define that at the top, the easier it's going to be to qualify your leads as you go down. So if you target women, you sell jewelry, right? And it's jewelry for women, right? Question is, what type of woman can afford your jewelry? Right? What's the price point of your jewelry? If you're selling a £200 necklace, right, is that something an 18-year-old's going to buy straight into university? Unlikely, right? If you're selling a £1,000 necklace, is this something a woman in her 20s working in an office is going to be able to afford? Unlikely, right? So you really have to nail into the personality, the persona behind who's going to buy your stuff, right? And it is more likely at £1,000 price point, that's going to be something that a rich husband or a rich boyfriend or partner would buy for their significant other, or it's going to be something that you treat yourself to after, doing really well in your high-flying career. That's really going to help you qualify your leads as you go down. So that's really important to do. So you go to the right place, talk to the right people, and you get attention from those people. They give you some type of nod that they'd like to hear more from you. Now, that could be they've given you an email, phone number, they've contacted you because they've done a Google search. Maybe they've just visited your website to have a look. Like, there's lots of signals there to show that people are interested. And your job to get people down from that top of funnel and qualify them is to get them as close to the point of sale as possible. And that's going to take a series of steps, right? If you're a product business and you're selling something on a website, that's easier. I'm sure a lot of DTC people are going to say that's not the case, but it's a little easier, right? Because your aim is to pay for traffic, get attention, give people the link, be visible in search, and get people to your website. And then you get them from the landing page that you take them to, whether it's a home page, product page, or whatever, and you get them putting that product in the basket, going to the basket, checking out, getting to the point where they put their address, phone number, billing info in, and they're super hot leads by this point, right? And if they disappear for any reason, your job is to get them back to that checkout, get them to make that sale, right? So that's kind of like from a product business point of view.
Yeah, I've got 4 stories lined up here so that we can maybe put like some color and some depth to the system we're talking about. Because I was thinking exactly the same as you were speaking. Like, we're talking heavy on D2C, like selling products here and advertising.
Let me talk about the service side bit then. That is different to qualify a lead there, right? You need to get phone numbers, get contact details, and then get into a conversation somehow with that person. And depending on the service that you're selling, right? You could be selling a massage service, right? Where someone has to come to you, they need to book an appointment, right? Well, I'm just trying to think of something it's like hourly, like a therapy.
Yeah, business coaching. People sell it hourly.
You know, getting an IT person to fix your keyboard after you put a cup of tea over it. I mean, that's not from experience or whatever, but that, you know, there's a lot of low price point service products out there. And that's just a matter of getting on the phone or having some type of exchange, right? And in that instance, depending on what you're selling, either your customers are going to be that starving customer that you spoke about, where they're really ready for your service. Like, my bathroom's just exploded and I need a plumber, like now, immediate emergency plumber. Yes, please, right? So I'm going to seek out and find and become an inbound lead, right? And if you have a service like that, great. Everyone wants leads that just call you up. They're kind of half qualifying themselves because they have a want. But then on the other side of it, if you're outbound, so you're the one prospecting and going to find people who might want your product or service, and you're selling something that isn't akin to an emergency plumber, you're going to have to work a little bit harder. You're going to have to go out and find where your people are, get their telephone number, get their email, and get into an exchange with them. And if you're selling something that's higher in terms of price point, expect to have to do multiple touch points, multiple calls, putting proposals out to them, building trust. And then you have to do the sales bit where you put a price in front of them, get them to see that price, and then convert them. And sales processes for higher ticket items could take weeks, months, years even, depending on what you're selling. And you need to understand that life cycle of the sales process. At what point do you have that initial touch point, and at what point do you close that sale, and how long does that take? And when you know that in your business, you can better forecast, you can better optimize that process. If you're totally new to it, you've just got to plow in and just start and document the process as you go along, I think, and test it.
Yeah, and test what works. You've got to be willing to learn, and that can be uncomfortable. Right, I'm going to take a left turn here and give us a story of lead generation by geek. So whenever I think about the lead generation process, you were saying before about the importance of finding where your customers hang out and how essential it is to have people that actually want your product and have desire already. And then also you said, well, a good lead looks like someone who knows, likes, trusts you, and also, I add into that little bit, they're not going to cost you a lot of overhead on the back end, like customer service, and maybe they're going to be a repeat custom. So with all that in mind, I want to talk about dating. Because whenever I think of the sales funnel, like, I love the cliche version of it. Like, you walk into a bar and that is your prospective market. Let's say you're young, single, and you look around the bar to see who is your prospective client, who meets your potential criteria, whether you're male, female, and then ultimately you'll get that engagement from someone who is mutually interested and has the desire. They are a qualified lead. Let's think of them like that. They give you the eye, you give them the eye. Some conversations start, so you start to flesh out. You start to have that rapport there to see whether you are a good fit, whether they want what you've got and whether you want what they've got. And then where they become a lead, in my mind, is you might tease a little bit of an offer, like you said, or you can have a free month of my website, academy, your online space. Well, that might be the equivalent to buying someone a drink. Like, well, I'll get the first drink and maybe they get another drink. But then ultimately the exchange happens there where you've had that mutual understanding that a phone number is exchanged. That's the lead. At that point, you can enter into a more in-depth relationship. And then ultimately everyone hopes that it ends up you get married, you move in together and ultimately have grandkids and you become a lifetime customer. Like, that's where my head's at. And I saw, right, there's this really cool article of this geek on Tinder. Right, so Tinder, he's found his target market, found a market that's in demand, and first thing he did is, this is quite prevalent already, is that there are bots out there that will swipe for you. And there were some like good data around this that men tend to swipe yes 46% of the time, women only swipe yes 14% of the time. The tactic or a tactic that a lot of these bots use is, well, I'm just getting everyone's my market. Everyone could be my customer. Yes, 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 yes. However,
That's pretty thirsty, isn't it?
yeah, however, he started to look into this a little bit more. And what he realized is that actually Tinder is a platform that wants you to be on there for longer. They want you to perceive the value in it. So what they do, like with Facebook and all the other feeds, is they show you the things that they think you will desire first. So what he was finding is his first 5 or so cards were the top performing profiles on Tinder. So he set his bot up to swipe yes half a dozen times and then close down and then come back an hour later and swipe yes. So he was only getting his ideal client. Let's put it in those terms. That's what he's getting. And then he went further still, that he trained an AI model to chat to these people. So he basically imported a load of his social media content and media content to GTP3 and got this thing to chat to people. So he automated the top part of his funnel. Now I found this really fascinating.
I hate everything about this.
It's horrible. Like, it makes my skin crawl. Like, but from a tech point of view, I'm like, oh wow, okay. So he got this Python script to interact with this website, and I'm like, that's really smart. Like, I'm not saying his intentions were all good, and I'm not saying that everyone should go out there and do this, but I was like, well, that's a funnel. Now, there's a few things that I think we can pull out as like work really well there. Now, let's just make this broad statement. There are bad people out there. There are bad things that happen, but it doesn't mean you can't learn good stuff from them. Like, there might be some good things that come of it. So I'm not endorsing that as an approach, and I'm not endorsing the next thing. My First Million, their episode this week was with OnlyFans model who's making more than Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast, who we put out there as like the media god, he is absolutely killing it. Amaranth, who is on Twitch, she's got a £40 million business empire on OnlyFans. And I listened to this interview. She's clearly doing well and has some business acumen. And I don't want to discredit her at all, because she's obviously very good at what she does. And I do not know this world at all. Like, just so out of my depth listening to this episode. But what was really clear to me was that she's found a starving market.
Sam's just made it very clear he's never opened OnlyFans, by the way.
This is the first time I've ever heard of it. What was really clear to me, though, is she's tapped into a desire. You know, people want the content she's got. They want the product. Like, porn is a multi-million pound, multi-billion pound industry. And she didn't need to be like the best at all the sales funnel and all the rest of it. Like, she's found a starving market, and it not to be punny, it's exploded. Like, it's massive. She's made an absolute killing from this, on par with someone who's like built a very well-oiled media empire, Mr. Beast. And I was thinking, that's incredible. Like, that shows how important that first validation bit is. I'm not to say that's the most important thing, but
Okay. Wait. So there's a couple of things that you come up with here. You're talking about human desire here, right? Base human desire, right? So in the case of our kind of OnlyFans entrepreneur there, she is dialed straight in to a very male desire to connect with a girlfriend, with a real live model, porn star, whatever, and just pay monthly for that and not have to leave the comfort of their room and go and talk to real life human women who are out there in the wild, right? And yeah, like, as a business model, you know, she's smashing it, like 100% smashing it. And I genuinely hope she does really well out of it. From the dating point of view, though, kind of Tinder point of view, the thing that makes me a bit sad about this guy that you spoke about with the swiping machine, right, is that people genuinely go onto Tinder to find connection, to find relationships, right? And the percentage that you spoke of there, where women are swiping like 14% and men are doing that insanely high, right? That's just been a dating site issue for years and years. Like, women don't have to pay, you know, to be on dating sites. Men do. Men get vetted far more. And women have to be more careful on dating sites because there's a lot more scams, there's a lot more issues. as the Tindler Swindler kind of showed us all, right? Gamifying something like dating, I think, is acceptable. If you're like my mate Joelle from a few years ago, right? She was like, right, I want to get married in a few years. I really like Irish men. I'm going to find all the Irish men on this dating site in my county, and I'm going to systematically go and date them all. She ended up meeting one of them and marrying him and having kids and moving to the country, right? So she did it properly, right? But that kind of like gamifying where you would get someone to chat with a bot that you've created, not a real human, like there's an issue there, I think. And just moving back to the topic, right? When you take that process and move it to sales, I think it has the same issue, right? So if you create a bot, like a messenger bot or something, and you prospect and you get people to just chat with the messenger bot and they're not aware that it's a bot, that sucks. If it's a bot and you don't then say, hey, I'm a bot, give me a number, I'll get Vicki or Sam to call you in the real life, in the reals, then you've got an issue there as well.
Can I ask, is the issue that it's disingenuous?
Yes.
Okay. Or is the issue that bots don't yet pass the Turing test? Because
No. It's disingenuous because you want people to buy from you. And that old adage that people buy from people is really true. Like all my product businesses I've worked with over the past few years, right? Women who want to hide behind their website and their products, right? And I go to their about pages. I'm like, where are you? Oh, I don't need to be on my website. I'm like, of course you need to be on your website. We need to know who makes the product, who's the person behind it, what were the ideas that brought you to the product. And in some cases, like if you're a drop shipper or whatever, you don't need to do that. But if you're an artisan jewelry maker and you poured your heart and soul into these pieces, I want to know who's making them, who's the person behind it, where do you get your inspiration? Because stories sell, right? And stories from humans, real life human beings, not Turing-trained bots, are what make people want to buy. We buy because of desire, right? So we buy because we feel trust and we feel happy and we feel safe. These are all emotional reactions. Whether you feel them or not depends on the type of sale. I'm about to go and do my weekly shop at the supermarket later online, right? That is the emotion I'm feeling there is relief. I've just got it done, right? But it's still an emotion, right? But when I'm buying, a £1,000 necklace, I'm going to feel quite amazing about that purchase because of the way it makes me feel, the way it makes me look, the status it gives me. And yes, you can apply that to B2B as well, right? If you are selling an engineering service to a government agency, the person who's buying from you, because there's always a person, the procurement person, is going to feel something making that purchase from you. They're going to feel professional. They're going to feel like, I'm going to get respected for getting this contract in. Like there's always an emotion behind a sale.
I'm totally with you. The reason I like media and sales and marketing is because there's a really authentic, I'm totally in love with a romantic concept of I can go solve a person's problem. I can make them feel great. I can bring all this energy. I'm totally there. But the engineer in me can't ignore the fact that people are marrying cyborgs and the metaverse is coming and this stuff's getting really good. Facebook might not bring it, but the concept of the digital twin, the Ready Player One world, we're veering off into the digital version of Leeds and whether that can exist or not. I guess all I'm identifying is there's a smell coming over there and I want to go check out what that smell is. There's something happening.
I just think if you're trying to optimize the sales process, right, and you're trying to get people through your funnel, right, and you're a product business, a drop shipping business, you don't need human touch points, right? You can run some Facebook or TikTok ads to an audience that you've already identified that might want to buy your product. You drive them to your website. That's all automated. When they get to the website, you start tracking them, anonymously, obviously, but you can start seeing who's on your website, who's buying what. And then if they leave your website, you can retarget them. if they've allowed it, if they've put something in their basket and they've not checked out, and they've left their email, you can send them a reminder, right? There's plenty of automated ways to run that sales process. And the optimization comes with seeing, okay, well, how many people are landing but not buying? Okay, what can I do then to improve the dwell time on the page? And, oh, there's plenty of people checking out but not completing that checkout. What can I do on that checkout page to make it feel like a safer experience, right? But in terms of like the human side, you could probably prospect with robots. Sure, like you could, scrape social sites. There's plenty of tools to do that on LinkedIn. I don't think the LinkedIn likes them, but that's your game. You could send 1 million DMs to people in LinkedIn messages using their sales navigator. Again, you're just copying and pasting the same message. It looks ick, there's no human element there, but I get it if you've got to go for the volume. And then the optimization comes there from looking, okay, out of 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 people I reached, how many people came back and had that initial contact? And you can look at optimizing your message, maybe changing that. But at that point, you've got that first, hi, I'm interested in hearing from you. That's when you've got to bring someone in and bring that human element in. And then the optimization comes in with, okay, how can I create a proposal and get that out to someone quickly? How can I remind myself to get back in touch with them and get them to sign that proposal off? And you can bring automation in there. Like Salesforce is amazing for that. Like number one, hands down, the best sales prospecting tool on the planet, right? And you can put all of your leads in there and set the different dates that you get back in touch and set email automations, text automations, bot message notifications and all of that. But it's a human steering it. You're going to be talking to Vicki Jakes in this sales process. And it's Vicki who's going to take you through beginning to the end to make sure that she's asked you everything that you need in order to make your decision to buy, right? She's giving you a presentation and shows you the options that you have. She's handled your objections and thought about, okay, well, if you don't like this, maybe we could do this instead. And then, I don't know why I'm talking about myself in the third person here, but I am. And then it's her that's going to get in touch with you and say, are you going to buy or not? It's going to close the deal.
Yeah, definitely. I think we could do a part 2 on the tools and some of the templates and things for this. I'm going to have to call the episode there. Could we wrap up? There's a few things that really jumped out to me. If your business is struggling or if you're looking to get it off the ground, product isn't necessarily where you need to focus. The front end of the business, leads, validation, is probably a good place to start. In fact, certainly a good place to start. We kind of spoke about this in previous episodes, but lead generation is the lifeblood. And if you're not thinking about it, you need to definitely consider getting somebody else in to think about it, outsourcing it or working with someone.
If you're not filling that funnel, it's pointless.
Absolutely. Cool. Is that it?
Sure. All right.
Awesome. Till next time.
Everyone, don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video with people if you really enjoyed it. We're looking to try and get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year, maybe 250 for our stretch target. What do you reckon, Sam?
Yeah, I reckon that's entirely doable. Yeah. So smash like, smash like, hit subscribe, comment below on your favourite part of the episode. That'd be cool.
Yeah, amazing.
Thanks very much.